I never yearned for faraway places, to distant lands I never longed to roam. When I want to see strange-looking faces, I can see so many of them at home. Let my sophisticated friends call me idiotic when I say I don't care that for anything exotic. Domestic wine and your heart pressed to mine, though the tumblers are plastic, the way I feel is fantastic. It must be you or Muscatel weaves a wonderful spell. Just the sight of that label, and I'm a mink trimmed with sable. Beaujolais leaves me bored and blasé, and the song of surrender you sing won't be encored, but deep within, something under my skin cries out to you when we share Manischewitz's Concord. Domestic wine makes my soul feel divine, for a vintage domestic can make a peasant majestic. Something splendid and fine is exclusively mine when my lips are tasting yours, and domestic wine.
You know, within recent years, I've devoted a good many stories to the people you and I love so much. They choose to call themselves senior citizens. They're beautiful to look at. They're late 70s, early 80s, and 90s. We might have some of them in the audience. I can't see from here, but I imagine there are a few. And I look forward to my annual visits to Miami Beach, where, of course, we find mostly the folks of my extraction. The rest of you send your people to St. Petersburg. Used to be Fort Lauderdale till we moved in with the condominiums. It's not a dirty word, it's an apartment. Condominiums. But you know, extraction has nothing to do with it. You go down to Washington Avenue and Lincoln Road. Watch a group of these beautiful little people standing on a corner waiting for the traffic light to change. You'll notice they never cross when it's green. At that age, I guess they like to live dangerously. What else is left? I know. Here's a little man in his late 70s, stepped off the curb. He was hit by a car. Thank goodness there was a policeman handy. They sent for an ambulance. Lift him into the ambulance. The doctor covered him with 3 or 4 blankets, pillows at his feet, pillows at his head. And the doctor leaned over and asked, "Are you comfortable?" He says, "Thank God I make a good living." And for purposes of this next story, permit me a wee bit of poetic license. This is probably not true. I say that actuaries associated with insurance companies have discovered that people live much longer lives on the Lower East Side of New York than they do anywhere else in the nation. And they sent a group of men down there to talk to them. They had a little fellow, 94 years of age, plied him with many, many questions, finally concluded by saying, "Since you lived here all of these years, in your opinion, sir, and we value it highly, what would you say the death rate is in this area?" "Well," he said, "gentlemen, in mine opinion, and I value that you value it highly, I would say that the death rate is 1 to a person." And nothing is funnier than the truth. And I swear to you this is true because it happened right here in Miami Beach last winter while I was at the Deauville. A gentleman I would judge to be somewhere in his 50s told me a true story about his father, who unfortunately is a widower. Now the son is in good shape financially, and he provides his dad with a lovely 2-room suite at the Deauville. And he visits with him almost every night. And this one evening the son opened the door to the suite. Here sat his father watching television. He says, "What are you watching, Pop?" He says, "Basketball." He says, "What's the score?" He says, 86 to 82. He says, "Who's winning?" He says, 86. Nothing is funnier than the truth. You sons and daughters deserve a great deal of credit because you add many years to their lives. And these two little women I'm thinking of, they're pretty much like their daughters because on lovely days, you'll find them on the white sand, the blue-green waters. They love that. And yet on cloudy days, again, they're pretty much like you daughters because on cloudy days, they love to go shopping by Lincoln Road. You and I know it as Lincoln Road. They call it Lincoln Road. They can't read or write English, but they know this, that if you stand on the corner of Lower Collins Avenue, pretty soon a bus will come along. Into the bus they'll go, nothing to worry about, because eventually the driver will call out, "Lincoln Road," and out they'll go. Well, there they stand on the corner, a cloudy January the 15th, the opening day of the Hialeah racetrack. Nothing to worry about. Along comes a bus. It happens to be a Hialeah bus. But to them, a bus is a bus. In they go. Nothing to worry about. They get into conversation. "How's your daughter? Did you send her the check?" All the way out to Hialeah. Everybody gets off. They follow along. One says, "What the hell is this? I didn't was here before. Must be a new development by Morris Landsberg." The other one says, "Must be a zoo. All I could see is horses and ducks with long necks." Suddenly one discovers something. She says, "Sally, I just find out if you put up money, you could win. They each chip in $1. They buy a $2 mutual ticket. The races run, the horse loses. One begins bemoaning her fate, and the other one says, 'You know, we're lucky girls that we lost. Tell the truth. What the hell would we do with a horse?'" Oh, a thought just popped into my mind. There's nothing to stop it. Two bookmakers are leaving church after services. They get out into the street. One slaps the other one in a kisser. He says, "You jerk, it's hallelujah, not Hialeah." Or as it is said further down, Hialeah. Not long ago, you may remember, on one of Mr. Ed Sullivan's shows, I told of two adorable little women in their 80s. And one says, "Jenny, if you would find in the street $1 million, what you would do with it?" She says, "I'll tell you the truth. If it belonged to a poor person, I would give it back." Do you remember an attitude your mother would assume when you were a little one and you did something naughty? She never opened her mouth. She just stood there and looked at you. And you thought to yourself, I didn't do it. But if she doesn't tell Papa when he comes home tonight, I'll never do it again. Well, it's only the attitude I wanted you to see. Because this may be applied to a little woman 85 years of age who'd had some work done to the dentist. And about 3 days after the work was completed, she walked back into his office. He was a young man. She stepped up to him quite brazenly, placed her hands on her hips. You would assume he could have been her grandson for her attitude. She says, you're a dentist, huh? You know I got different teeth. Oh, I'm sure you went in college. You got what they call graduate. They gave you a piece of paper, what they call a diploma. So now you know I got different teeth. You know the teeth that you made me? It's not goddamn good. They don't fit. Which there's nothing unusual about that, my dear. That's happened before. Let's take a bite test. He took the necessary bite test. It seems quite all right to me. He said, I don't care if it seems to you. It's not you teeth. It's mine teeth. You made them. It's no goddamn good. They don't fit. Well, he said, do you have any trouble eating? She says, thanks to goodness, I got a healthy stomach. I eat 2 very fine meals several days, sometimes in the afternoon, crackers and jelly with tea. But he asked me questions that don't fit. When he says, you're beginning to insult my intelligence. You tell me they feel comfortable. You enjoy 3 healthy meals every day, yet you persist in telling me they don't fit. She says, to who the hell are you hollering? You know, you really are, Jake. I'm not talking about a mouth, they don't fit in the glass. I want you to hear another true story about a very dear friend of mine in New York who happens to be one of the nation's top diagnosticians. He told me of a little woman in her 80s who came to him for an examination. He said, be good enough to disrobe. I'll be back in a few minutes. I want to see another patient in the next office. When he got back, as yet she hadn't taken her things off. And he got the impression that she didn't understand English. And since he spoke Yiddish as well, he said the very same thing in Yiddish. Take your things off, please. She's in her 80s, mind you, very sheepishly. She hung her head. She says, Doctor, you get undressed first. Because this is the season of the year that prompts this story. And unless I'm here at this time of year, I never talk about it. You must hear another true story that happened right here at this very time of year. You know what happens Christmas and New Year's. You wonderful mothers and fathers bring the youngsters along. It's a great vacation. And then, of course, the town jams up. There's no place to stay. There are no rooms to be had for love nor money. I've known of some people who've had to sleep in automobiles. It's been that crowded. However, despite that, the moment the New Year holiday is finished, everybody wants to leave here on the same day, on the same plane, in the same seat. You know that's not going to happen. It took people 2 to 3 weeks to get down here. And if you're ever out at the airport, as I've been on occasion, you'll hear fathers pleading with the ticket agents at the respective airlines. Not for me. My business stinks. I could stay. But for the kids, they got to go back to school. You want them, they should get left back. Do you want to have on your conscience on account of you, my children grow up to be dopes? Take my son as a genius. Genius. Goes to Ham High Tea. You know, Mr. Chu. Don't give me a ticket, give him. I'll sit in his lap. Now, it's reasonable to assume that I should be in a pretty fair position to understand most of the language spoken in this area. I'm going to show you how wrong I can be. In the lower lobby of the Dovel, I heard a fellow say to another, "Where do you living?" Now, most of you think you understand that? I thought I did. Because in answer to that question, "Where do you living?" the other guy says, "If I could get a reservation on a plane, I'm leaving Thursday." Well, I want you now to hear about a man entertaining a lovely lady in her one-room suite. When suddenly there's a knock at the door, she says, "My God, my husband." He says, "You never told me you were married." She says, "This is no time to argue. Get out of here." Well, he says, "Where can I hide?" She says, "Get out of here. I don't care. Hang out the window." Believe it or not, there he is hanging out the window by his fingers. Now he's telling a friend of this experience. He says, "In came the husband, took out a pocket knife, jabbed it under my fingernails. Hurt like hell." But he says, "That must have made you mad." He said, "It didn't make me mad." Then he took a jar of molasses and dumped it over my head. Well, he says, "Surely that..." He said, "No, that didn't make me mad." Then he ripped open a pillow and dumped the feathers all over. You can imagine what I looked like, hanging there like a kachki. Well, he says, "Of course." He said, "No, that didn't make me mad, but when I looked down and saw I was only 3 feet from the ground, that made me mad." This thing just popped into my mind. It's about 2 lovely little women in their middle 40s who've known each other since they were little bitty kids. They've always lived in the same community. They are the dearest of friends. Sisters couldn't be closer. They would tell each other things they wouldn't dare tell anyone else. Now they're married, they have families, and they still live in the very same communities. And every morning when the kids are off to school, you'll find them in each other's homes over a cup of coffee. Remember now, one would never tell anyone else what she would tell her girlfriend, the dearest of friends. And this one morning she comes and she says, "Arnie, I don't know how to tell you. It's a terrible thing. I heard that it happens to people, but to me it should happen. If I could live with a thing like this." She says, "I'm having an affair." The other one says, "So who's the caterer?" And you remember I used to do a story about a man who went into a seafood restaurant, ordered a lobster. The waiter brought it, placed it before him. He looked at it a moment, looked back up at the waiter. "Psst, body. Psst, body. The waiter who owns property." Waiter walked up to him and says, "To who the hell do your puss-thing coming?" Customer says, "What did you serve to me?" He says, "What did you order?" He says, "What the hell is it, a riddle?" Waiter says, "You ordered the lobster and that's is it." Customer says, "I know what's is it. This I'm not gonna eat it. It's only got one claw. CLAW, a claw." Waiter says, "There's nothing unusual. I've served thousands of lobsters with only one claw." Customer says, "It happens I'm not interested in your accomplishments. I don't eat no cripple lobsters." Waiter says, "He's not a cripple. He was in a fight. What do you expect me to do? He's a jerk. Bring me the winner." Which one are you laughing at? God love you. There's a little man in the city of New York all of us in show business adore. This is one of the most beautiful little men that ever lived. He owns the stage Delicatessen, Little Max Asness. It's on 7th Avenue between 53rd and 54th Streets. We go there. He's a great host, has a great sense of humor. I was having breakfast at the stage delicatessen. Little Max told me he had a waiter one time. He hated his guts. Just the way he said it. I hated his guts. So I gave him a $2 raise. And the next week I fired him. So the waiter came to him, he says, I thought you liked me, you gave me a raise. He says, I hate your guts. I only gave you a raise, you should lose a better job. And let me tell you about a Martian. We don't know whether there is life on Mars or not. Even the scientists don't know. It's reasonable to assume that a Martian could be walking around on the street. A fellow walked up to him and said, you're a Martian, aren't you? He said, yeah. He said, do they all look like you? He says, uh-huh. Do they all have googly eyes? He says, yeah. Do they all have antennas poked out of their heads? He says, uh-huh. Do they all wear little round hats? He said, no, only the Orthodox. And this is a neighbor of that Martian who came down in his flying saucer, landed on 53rd Street and 7th Avenue. And as the saucer landed, he got a flat in his little bitty tire. He tried to take off, couldn't gain the necessary momentum. He had no spare. He was from South Mars. He got out of the flying saucer, began looking in store windows for a place to pick up a little bitty tire for the little bitty wheel. Got to the stage delicatessen with a bunch of bagels hanging in the window. It's a hot damn, that's one of them tires. He went in, he saw little Max, he says, I want to buy one of them tires. Max says, you crazy?
It's after 2 p.m. and I'm a shipping clerk. I know I'll lose my job if I don't get back to work. My lunch hour's up at 2, still I'm gabbing here with you. But I simply gotta spout until you throw me out. So make it a chocolate soda, but hold the whipped cream. Oh, please play number 9. It's a favorite of mine. It's a disc of Lawrence Welk's. We first heard it at the Elks. 'Twas at a members' dance, and I met her there by chance. And the thing that knocked me dead was the pretty way she said, make it a chocolate soda with lots of whipped cream. The following year I bought her 1,000 sodas. Our love began to blossom and to grow. But she gained 100 pounds, and with my little sports car, one of them simply had to go. Well, I'm sure you know the rest. You probably have guessed. And listen to me, Jim, if you know a girl who's slim, you can tell her I'm always here about this time. And if she plays it smart, she's bound to win my heart by ordering chocolate soda, but hold the whipped cream, but hold the whipped cream.
It's not a tire, it's a bagel. The Martian said, what the hell's a bagel? He says, I'll let you to taste. The Martian bit into it and said, you know, that would be good with cream cheese and lox. You know, coming out of the commercial world as I do, you can readily understand why it is I love to repeat a typical business type story. Incidentally, one which may be applied to any industry anywhere in the nation. But of course, having been so close to the garment industry and the textile world for so many, many years, I say it happened there. 25 years of his life, this little man found it possible to arrive for work every morning at 9 o'clock. Just as the good Lord made the day he walked in for his work at 9 in the morning, you could set your watch by his appearance. And suddenly one morning, after all these 25 years of punctual 9 o'clock appearances, he walked in at 10. 2 black eyes, bloody nose, ear hanging, lip torn, clothes ripped and disheveled. Boss says, what the hell happened to you? He says, oh, fell down all flight stairs, almost got killed. The boss says, so this took an hour? You know, I had a boss like that once. And speaking of the dress industry, you're so nice, I can't resist telling you about 2 partners. Things are rough. They decide to split. They cut it right down the middle. One stays in the dress industry, the other one goes out to California with what's left of his money, winds up in the motion picture business. Believe it or not, in a year, he's a fantastic tycoon. Now, his former partner, the dress man, goes to visit with him, walks into a magnificent office, sumptuous, the last word in elegance. His former partner, feet up on the desk, a cigar a mile long. He says, you look to me like a big shot in pictures. He says, you goddamn tootin'. I only make epics. If the picture not going to cost me $100 million, I don't start up with it. I use maybe 100,000 extras a day. She says, 100,000 extras? What can it be? Well, she says, I make westerns. I use maybe 50,000 Indians, 50,000 cowboys. Cowboys. He says, how much you pay him a day? He says, $100 a day. He said, you're a cock-a-liar. No, it's honest to God. $100 a day, 100,000 extra. How could you afford it? He says, we use real bullets. You ladies are so pretty. I think with all of the beauty, you will admit, however, that when a man becomes successful in the business world, he must of necessity have a hobby. He must. It's obvious here around the Eden Rock. You let him enjoy himself. He has hobbies. He likes to play cards, this, that, the other thing. Now, here are two tremendously successful businessmen. As a hobby, they don't play golf anymore. It's too many holes. You know, holes? Jim Rome, they don't need the money. Girls, it's here. I know. But a new hobby has developed within recent years. You read about it in all of your fine magazines. Safari in Africa. Hunting wild animals. Hunting. In Africa yet. And wild ones. And here are these two guys. Up to now, they've been afraid for my Chihuahua puppy. Now they're going in Africa hunting wild animals. You see them now with the pith helmets, the sand brown belts, the knives, the guns, all the equipment in darkest Africa, stalking wild game. One guy over there, this guy, they're going to surround him. God forbid they should see something. Suddenly this fellow feels something nudging him from behind. He knows he's not in Greece. Now, he's afraid to turn around, but he doesn't want to admit it. So he calls to his friend, Mars.
Hello, Mr. Monteith. The usual?
Yes, Mike, and make it a double. I'm celebrating. Today's the day.
Today? The day for what, Mr. Monteith?
My wife and I have been saving for this day for 13 years, and now at last it's here and we're getting it.
Getting what?
A divorce. Say, Mike, who's the lady at the other end of the bar?
Oh, her name's Miss Willie Brandt. Excuse me, she's signaling to me. Refill, Miss Willie Brandt?
Well, maybe just a stitch, Mike. Who's that nice-looking gentleman you were talking to?
Oh, that's Mr. Monteith. He's celebrating a divorce.
Oh, well, now, isn't that interesting? If I weren't so shy, I'd talk to him, even though I know it's improper. But would you ask him something for me, Mike?
Sure thing. The lady would like to know if you read any good books lately, Mr. Monteith.
Well, nothing since Louisa May Alcott's Little Man. Would you ask the lady something for me? Freshen the drink before you go.
Certainly.
You can tell him my favorite hobby, among many hobbies, is cutting lace. I wouldn't be a bit surprised if Mr. Monteith and I had a good deal in common. I come from Blunt, South Dakota. It's not a big city, but it's right near the state capital. That's Pierre, of course. Not many people know it's pronounced Pierre. They think it's Pierre. But if I were a betting man, a betting man. I'd wager that Mr. Monteith does. Ask him, Mike. Go ahead, huh? And, just a wee one before you go.
The lady'd like to know what's your hometown. She's from Blunt, South Dakota.
Blunt, South Dakota. Oh, my. You can tell her I'm practically a neighbor. I'm from Sparks, Nebraska. That's almost on the state line between Nebraska and South Dakota. How does she like it here? It kind of fast after Blunt, South Dakota, huh?
You can tell him I like it fine, Mike. Sure, I know sometimes a girl's not safe in these kind of cities, but I take care of myself adequately enough. I guess I'd still be back home if it weren't for that terrible argument with Father that made me pack up and leave. It was about Calvin Coolidge, and I forget now which side I was on. You know, President Coolidge was a very controversial figure. Now, I wouldn't want to get into politics or anything like that, but ask him just for curiosity whether he belongs to any political party.
Happy to, Miss Willie Brandt. The lady wants to know...
I heard what the lady wants to know. The acoustics seem to be getting better in here. About my politics. Well, I'm an independent. Yes, sir, an independent voter. I'll vote Republican no matter what anybody tells me to do. You hear me?
I hear you fine. Mike, I don't think we'll need your message delivery service anymore. But before you go, just a little teeny one.
Come on up. Miss Willie Brandt and Mr. Monteith, there's 2 stools together right here in the center. I can move over? Okie dokie. Here, I'll move your stuff for you.
Thank you, Mike. Well, Mr. Monteith, now that we won't be needing Mike anymore, what do you say we go somewhere else?
Fine. I know a peachy place where we can do some bird watching. Would you like to go? How about like...
Oh, seriously, Mother, I'm nuts about bird watching. What's the place?
It's called Birdland. What do you say?
I say what the ornithologists say. Cuckoo.
Says, I can't turn around, I got a crink in my neck. What's pushing me, a tiger or a leopard? Mara says, what the hell are you asking me? I'm not a furrier. I must tell you about the youngster born to one of the nation's wealthiest families. At an early age, he begins to show a feeling for the world of opera. With all of that wealth behind him, it's made possible for him to have the finest in voice, culture, elocution, everything to make for a great career in the event he shows promise. Well, believe it or not, when he gains his maturity, he's begun to carve a niche for himself in the world of operatic music, beautiful voice. And as a result, he's invited to sing at La Scala in Milan. Now, the opera world knows this to be the truth, and I'm sure you do. There is no opera audience anywhere in the world quite like the one you'll find at La Scala, if for no other reason than that they are born, they live, and they die with the opera. They'll beg, borrow, and steal to get entrance to the opera house. They go to the opera to listen. You might come to Milan with a fantastic reputation 2 minutes after you've opened your mouth. That audience knows whether you can sing or whether you're a fake. Now, the opera this particular evening is I Pagliacci in the aria Vestile Juba. And this young man pours his heart and soul into the aria, so much so that when he finishes, the entire audience rises as if one. Encore, you must sing again, and he does. When he finishes it for the second time, again you must sing. This happens 8 times. They're screaming for the 9th encore. He walks to the footlights and says, ladies and gentlemen, little do you realize what a thrill it is to be accepted at La Scala as you've received me. Please let the opera continue. You know I've already sung the aria 8 times. What do you expect of me? A little Italian man from the top balcony screamed down at me and said, you dirty son of Mangoni! You gonna sing it that goddamn thing until you get it right.
You're the kind of a girl men remember when they meet in saloons for a drink. Ooh, when they talk of you, dear, as they smile in their beer. They can roll back the years with a wink at their gay past. Now they wonder just who you are kissing and where, if you still play the sweet gay young fool. But they'd run from that dive if they knew that you drive the bus that their kids take to school, to school. Some girls are quickly forgotten. They soon seem to fade from your mind. Some leave a memory that's vivid. I'm afraid you're the latter kind. When they get to reminiscing, if you could but listen, your ears would burn. There's exaggeration in the conversation when they drink, 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 drink. Everybody adds another story of the campus queen when you were in your glory, not with Sigma Chi and brothers, but with mostly all the others. They seem to think there is lots of speculation as to your location. Each has his guess in recalling you, the flapper, you, the finger snapper, yelling, hey, chic. Still they get kind of blue, for they're all sending you alimony checks every week. Cold, cold cash.
I overheard the sweetest conversation in a place I don't ordinarily go. It was a boy and girl, his head was in a whirl. I've never seen a boy with such a glow. Then suddenly he burst out into singing, even though no one had requested him to. I guess his feet were sore, for he sprawled out on the floor. I'll try to pass his song along to you. Ooh, I will be your driver, Muth, if you will be my gin. And I will be your snifter if you'll pour yourself right in. Your eyes are clear as vodka, your cheeks like vin rosé. Be my slice of orange in the good old-fashioned way. I won't be a chaser if you say it's our good year. If you don't, my life will be as flat as 3-2 beer. We'll lurch through life together, never craving lemonade. Oh, that's a barfly's love song to his little sweet barmaid. If your love's 100 proof, then we'll blend happily. But if you're pinched by someone else like cream de menthe, I'll be. You'll make my whiskey sour, my life seem weak and cut, like one long election day when all the bars are shut. But if we wed, we'll have a half pint just as cute as you, and he'll white horse the whole last weekend through. The whole world may be blurry, but my love for you won't fade. Oh, that's so Barfly's love song to his little sweet barmaid, a stirring serenade.
Hello, Dixie Liquors. Liquors our business. Irving speaking. Yeah, Mr. Appleby. I call you Al? All right, Al. What'll it be tonight? Oh, you got a big order? Just a second, I'll get a pencil. Okay, Al, shoot. 1 package of cigarettes. They're 2 for a half if you need 2. Or just 1, huh? Right. Dozen books of matches? No, they're free. Morning paper? Oh, I just sold out the papers. Oh, sure, I'll pick one up for you at the newsstand. Not too far out of the way. Only 11 blocks. Short ones. Candy bar for your daughter? Got it. Package of gum for your son? Want it mixed? 3 sticks of Juicy Chews and 2 sticks of grape double bubble trouble-free gum. Okay. 1 quart of milk? Aha! Now we're getting somewhere. You probably want to make some brandy punches, huh? No? Your wife wants it for the mashed potatoes. Yeah. 2 large bottles of club soda. Aha! Here we go. Scotch and soda, maybe? No. Kids want it for making chocolate phosphates? Yeah, I see. Oh, say, I got something for you. Special this week only. Tokay wine. 73 cents a quart. You want to try a quart? You'll wait? Oh, it may go up next week. You'll take your chances, huh? All righty, you're the boss. Excuse me a second, Mr. Appleby. There's my other phone. Sounds like I got a customer. Oh, I didn't mean anything by that. I mean someone may want to order something. Hello, Dixie Liquors. Liquors is our business. Irving speaking. You like some old Kilty? Well, yes, sir. But that is our finest and most expensive scotch. Want 11 bottles? All right. You come in and pick it up, huh? Oh, you don't have to, you know. It's an awful nasty night. You come out anyway and pay cash for it, huh? Fine. Oh, by the way, if you take 12 bottles, you can get a discount. You just want 11. Well, fine. Well, thank you, sir. Yes, Mr. Appleby, it's me again. I just sold 11 bottles of scotch to a fella and... Oh? You heard me talking to him and you'll take the 12th bottle if I give you the case discount? Oh, let's see now. It's $8 a bottle, which makes it $96 a case. 10% discount amounts to $9.60. That means if you take the bottle for $8, I owe you $1.60. Yeah, I guess it's all right. A deal's a deal. Anything else, Mr. Appleby? Yeah, I'll send $1.60 with your order. Immediately? Put it on your Diners Club card? Yeah, oh, certainly. You really need it immediately? Well, my delivery man is out sick, but I'll close the store for an hour and deliver it myself. Yeah, with this horrible storm and all the roads flooded, nobody will be coming in here tonight anyway. Half hour out to your place, half hour back ought to do it. As I said, nobody will be... Well, almost nobody. Someone's been standing at the counter while we was talking. Yeah, 1 minute, Al. I'll take care of him, then double-check this order for you. Yeah, what can I do for... Yeah. Oh. I see. Well, thank you, sir, and good night and good luck to you. Al? Irving again. Something awful funny just happened. This hold-up guy came in here to stick me up, and he said he overheard our conversation and changed his mind. He handed me a $20 bill and walked out. Boy, this is sure a funny business, Al. What's that? You want me to stop gabbing and get right over with the order? Yes, sir. Liquor's our business. Bye.
tequila and crankcase oil. Frozen schnapsicles. Scotch and battery acid. Bourbon and hot hemlock. Rum and bilge water. Vodka and snake serum. Man, I'm gonna get stoned on the rocks.
You know, night after night, no matter where I go, just such nice people as you see fit to bring the youngsters, and I like that. That's a great compliment. It means, of course, that I'm using good taste, and that's why I usually like to keep it. I'm no prude. I know all the other jokes. I sold goods for 25 years. Let me tell you a story I've been associated with for many, many years. About the adorable little 8-year-old girl, quite like the one you might have in your very own heart, who walked into a bakery shop and said to the baker, "My mommy found a fly in a raisin bread." She said, "Bring back the fly, I'll give you a raisin." And here's an adorable little 5-year-old who says to his little boyfriend, "My father could beat your father." He says, "Big deal, so can my mother." And let me tell you about a little bitty guy in kindergarten. All day long he walks around the classroom. "My mommy gonna have a baby. My mommy gonna have a baby." She can't make him quit. She locks him in the closet. "Mommy gonna have a baby." Put him in a corner with a dunce cap. "Mommy gonna have a baby." Well, the following afternoon, as some of you little mothers in our audience have done this, and I've seen it happen, his little mother, a youngster, took his little hand and put it on her tummy, and he felt the movement of the unborn child. Well, for the next 2 days in class, he didn't open his mouth. The teacher began to wonder about this. She said, "Johnny, what about the baby?" He said, "I think my mommy ate it." Ladies and gentlemen, yesterday I was paid a visit by one of the nation's truly fine comedy minds, Little Maury Amsterdam. I want you to hear a couple of the stories he gave me. 2 gentlemen out on the beach here. And one says, "You know, the way they got figured out with the astronauts, they don't start up to send them until they're sure that they're going to come back. So it's rather safety. So what the hell we have to worry from them? We got a few dollars. We'll invest in a capsule." You know, a capsule.
Fill the Dixie cups with Southern comfort, and we'll toast Chitlin University. Everybody raise your flask and stand around the statue of Robert E. Lee.
Be sure your socks are cotton.
Cheer the team that's always undefeated. It's the best team that money can buy. And though the money is Confederate, no Northern team can better it. So hold your Dixie cups on high to your lovely ancient sorghum-covered walls, to the phone booth that 40 of us would fill. and the scent of mash that lingers in your halls, where you taught us how to operate a still. Far above the waters of the Chitlin Lake that was named after Senator Chitlin, sir, to the lovely moonlight dates we used to make when we'd wear our beanie caps of coonskin fur. Ra ra ra, sis boom ba, Chitlin, you oh. Fill the Dixie cups with Southern comfort, and we'll toast Chitlin University. We will never quit, we'll fight with all our grit, for grit's what we have constantly.
The grits they serve with gravy.
We're so proud of all the things you taught us. They'll remain when the years have gone by, because no other school but Chitlin gives a course in modern whittling. So hold your Dixie cups on high, high, high. Hold your Dixie cups on high.
We'll go to the sun. They're going to the moon. What the hell we need with them? We'll go to the sun. We'll take pictures. We'll buy property. The other guy says, what, you crazy? You'll come within 100,000 miles from the sun. It's so hot, it'll melt the capsule. And then we're dead. The other guy says, so we'll go at night. I want you to hear about a little woman in her 80s who went to the doctor. She says, I want you to give me a prescription for birth control pills. He says, I've heard of everything. You're 87 years old. What do you want with those? She says, I didn't ask you no questions. I'm going to pay for the visit. Give me the prescription. So he gave it to her. 2 months later, he met her on the street. How are the pills working? She says, I'm sleeping like a baby. He says, they're not sleeping pills. What do you do with them? She says, I tell you the truth, in the morning when I wake up, I have breakfast with my grandchild. When she's not looking, I put 2 pills in her orange juice. I sleep like a baby. Which reminds me of the little woman in her 80s who meets the young doctor. He says, how do you feel, my dear? She says, I tell you the truth. Heute mit arthritis, with the bursitis, with the pressure, and the pain in the creases here, you know. And the stomach is not 100%. He says, why don't you come to my office to see me? She says, maybe next week when I'll feel better. You watch television as much as I do, I'm sure. And it's for that reason I want you to hear a little something that will become strangely familiar to you in a moment. Picture, if you will, a tall high on some Texan. A high on some Texan. Fine-looking guy. With a 10-gallon hat, the beautiful boots, the tight-fitting jacket with the patch pockets, the embroidered darts running up the back. Finds himself on the Lower East Side of New York, a predominantly Jewish neighborhood. He's obviously lost. Obviously. He walks up to the little Jewish peddler with a pushcart and he says, can you all tell me where I am? And the little guy says, brother, you're not in Marlboro country. Not long ago in Vegas, an FBI man told me a story of a bank robber who had stolen $500,000. Now, they never found the money, but they caught up with this guy and put him in jail. A week later, he got a letter from his wife. Dear John, we're going to plow up the backyard and plant potatoes. He sent back a letter, don't plow up the backyard. A couple of days later, he got a letter, the FBI was here and plowed up the backyard. He sent back a letter, now you can plant potatoes. Earlier this evening, a lady reminded me of a story I did years and years ago. Haven't done it in many years. About the little woman who went to the butcher shop. She said to the butcher, Marty, today, if you'll be so kindly, I feel like Tavish will give me half a dozen lamb chops. So how much gonna cost? Butcher says, for you? For you, $2 a pound. She says, for who? She said, you must be cockeyed drunk. I could get across the street by Schwartz, the butcher, for $1.40. He says, who the hell sent for you? Go by Schwartz. She says, he ain't got any. He says, if I wouldn't have any, I'd give you for $1.25. And for you little ladies, here's a woman who says to another, look at your hair, for God's sake. Look how streaky. You know streaky? S-T-R-E-A-K-Y, streaky. She says, I bet you didn't shampoo already since God knows. In fact, it looks like a wick. The other one says, it happens, my dear friend, it is a wick. And the first one says, you know, you can't tell. I don't know how many of you are familiar with the George Washington Bridge, the bridge that goes from New York to Jersey. And picture a little guy driving a horse and wagon across the bridge. When he gets to the toll gate, the man at the gate says, 50 cents, please. He says, I thought it's only for automobiles, 50 cents. He says, no, any vehicle. No, he says, well, listen, what are you going to do? So he backed up.
You know, Marge, if it weren't for these 10 o'clock coffee breaks with you, I don't know how I'd get through the rest of the day.
Ain't it the truth, Jenny? And coffee ought to be perking any second now. We've had 3 vodkas apiece since I turned it on, so it shouldn't be long.
Oh, no hurry, really, Marge. Oh, what's a coffee clatch among girlfriends without a few vodkas to sort of quiet the coffee nerves we're gonna get?
Ain't it the truth? Like I say to Pete every night, being the head of the family is enough to drive you to... I don't know what. What's with that coffee? I wonder if I did turn it on. Looks like we have time for one more while we're waiting. Here's to you, doll.
You too. Sorry you missed the PTA meeting last night. Oh, it was a dilly.
Had one of my headaches again. Just couldn't drag myself out.
I know. I just barely made it myself. Well, I'll give you a quick rundown on what happened. You know, they're putting on the Parents' Frolic, and they're hiring this professional director to stage it. Oh, everything was just going along okay until Marilyn Lloyd got up and said, I don't think we should use him, even though he's donating his services. I hear he's unreliable. He drinks.
She would.
Well, you never heard such a fracas. They finally decided to put it to a vote, and I don't have to tell you how the voting went. All of our friends voted to hire him, but some of those other pills dissented. Well, anyhow, we won 34-6, so at least the rehearsals will be fun. You know, we'll be rehearsing at each other's homes.
Oh, there goes the coffee. Here, I'll pour.
Well, what about these vodkas? We're not quite through.
Just drop 'em right in the coffee. You know vodka's tasteless. Nothing like starting the day with a good, strong, hot cup of coffee.
To quote my friend Marge here, ain't it the truth? Dear, wish I knew what to fix for dinner tonight. Here it is, only Wednesday, and my food budget money is all gone. Harold says he can't understand what I do with the table money. Says he gives me enough every week to buy food for a month.
Oh, you know how men are. Think all you have to have in the house is food. Say, I might be able to give you a recipe. I was kind of low myself last night, and I whipped up a tuna and noodle casserole for exactly $1.40. The tuna was 35 cents, the noodles were 26 cents, and the cooking sherry was 79 cents. Now, all you do is throw the tuna and the noodles into a casserole and just keep adding the cooking sherry. And to be sure you get it right, keep tasting it as it cooks. And keep basting it with the cooking sherry.
Oh, how did it turn out?
Well, the family thought it was pretty grim, but I sure had a lot of fun making it. Freshen up your coffee?
Oh, sure. And freshen the vodka, too.
Good idea. Here's a little dividend for you and one for me. Say, Jen, how's your little Elliot doing in the Little League?
Oh, just wonderful, Marge. You know, Saturday was their opening day, and it was mobbed. Well, they had me working at the concession stand, and it was so warm, and we were so busy that I passed out. Harold says what made me sick was looking at all those soft drinks. Oh, that Harold of mine, such a clown.
Yeah. He and Pete ought to run away together and join a circus. Oh, afraid there's no more coffee, Jen. Should I make some more?
Well, not if there's no more vodka. Oh, I gotta run anyway. It's Harold's birthday today, and I haven't bought his gift yet.
What are you getting him?
Well, I decided to get him something sensible. Something that won't take him out of the house, like golf clubs, or something that he'd wear out, like a cashmere sports jacket.
Ain't it the truth? What are you gonna get him?
A case of bourbon. Bye, Marge. It's sure been fun.
Oh, bye. And say happy birthday to Harold. And tell him, if he weren't on the wagon, we'd come by and have one with him.
There's a barroom out in Kansas where a group of fellows meet. It happens semi-annually. Since this barroom's out in Kansas, we can tell you here and now, the meetings must be held secretly,
for the district is dry.
From the moment that it starts until it's ended, they toast the alma mater they all attended. All hail to thee, Associated Correspondence School in New York, California, and Illinois. You are the school we love the most, with the only student body from coast to coast. We'll drink to thee, Associated Correspondence School, for the memories that time never can destroy. All the men who wear the letters ACS are the men who've climbed the ladder of success. You've turned out TV repairmen and many barbers too, plumbers and drummers and a crack ferryboat crew. Zack and cleaner salesmen, you started on their career, and a heck of a bartender who's serving us this beer. We'll drink to thee, Associated Correspondence School, for the memories that time never can destroy. Oh, we owe a lot to you, and always will, for we haven't yet paid our tuition bill.
Went about a quarter of a mile back, unhitched the horse, put him in the wagon, and I pulled the wagon to the toll gate. The guy says, 50 cents, please. He says, talk to the driver. Let me tell you about a businessman who, in filing his income tax return, deducted $500 as a bad debt because he claimed he'd loaned his partner $500 and he'd never gotten it back. Well, eventually he was called down to the Internal Revenue Service. And the revenue agent says, there's got to be something wrong here, mister, because your partner was here with 5 witnesses who've testified they saw him give you back the $500. He says, is that so? Well, I'm going to show you what a goddamn liar is my partner. I never loaned it to him. And this fellow wrote a letter to the Internal Revenue Service saying on my 1962 return I cheated. I've had a guilty conscience ever since and haven't been able to sleep. Enclosed, you'll find my check in the amount of $500, and if I still can't sleep, I'll send you the balance. I must tell you, a few months ago, in New York, I was privileged to entertain 3,500 ladies and gentlemen representing the National Association of Insurance Agents. This is true. And I boned up on the subject, feeling that the thing that was closest to their lives would be interesting to them. I hope you'll think this is funny. About the insurance agent who was bringing a check for $25,000 to the widow. Husband had passed on. While there, he decided he was going to try and sell her the very same policy. She thought a few minutes. She says, maybe I ought to take it because my husband was lucky with it. And you know there are men in this world who live to beat insurance companies? They devote their lives to beating insurance companies out of large sums of money. And this is a man who's done that for 20 years. Never lost a case. a phony, a crook, and a thief. There wasn't a lawyer in the world that didn't know this guy was a crook, but they could never catch up with him. But now he's got the biggest case of his life, $250,000. They bring him into the courtroom on a stretcher. He's twisted up like a pretzel. They lift him off the stretcher, put him in the witness stand. The battery of defense attorneys try to break him down, and they can't move him. He knows the questions before they ask him. Sharp. Well, he wins his case. Out in the corridor, after the trial is over, the attorney brings him a check for $250,000. He says, we know you're a thief, a crook, and a phony. Here's your check. But I'm warning you, as of this minute, there'll be a man on your tail for the rest of your natural life. Till the day you die, he'll be with you. And the first day, and we know this will happen, the first day that your hand straightens out, mister, you not only lose the check, but you go to jail for the rest of your life. Well, he says, that's interesting. It's been a rough week. Tell you what's going to happen. I'm going to stay home and rest up. And then one morning, a big limousine is coming. They're going to lift me into the limousine, drive me out to Kennedy Airport. A plane will be waiting. They'll lift me into the plane, fly me up to Montreal in Canada. They'll lift me out of the plane into a big limousine and drive me to the shrine of St. Anne de Beaupré. And if you happen to be standing there alongside of me, you're going to see the biggest damn miracle you ever saw in your life. I must tell you about a little couple, married well over 50 years. Children all married off, well provided for. But now an anniversary's coming up. And the mother says, you know, Arnie, we ought to have a Union Oyster party. And we'll invite the kiddies. They'll bring presents. And like this, we'll enjoy. So it's arranged. That Saturday night, the doorbell rings. In comes the daughter with the son-in-law, the kiddies. Oh, Daddy, I'm so sorry. You know, the baby wasn't feeling well and I didn't get a chance to get downtown to buy you a gift. He said, that's all right, sweetheart, you here. All right, the hell with it. You here. 5 minutes later, in comes the eldest son, the doctor. Gee, Dad, I hate myself. I was at the hospital all day, you know, with the operation. I didn't get a chance to buy you a gift. What do you want? You're my children. You here? You came? No, the hell with it. Don't worry. 5 minutes later, in comes the youngest. You know, with his wife and the kid. Gee, Dad, you know, I was in court all day and I didn't... Oh, look, we here, the whole family, to sit down to a fantastic meal. Mom had been cooking all week. Now they get to the dessert and coffee. Papa stands up and he says, children, we here together. It's a happy occasion, but the truth is the truth. I must tell you that you live in Kalai all the years. You, mother, and me, we never got married. The eldest son says, Dad, you mean we're, he says, and the cheapest. How do you feel now? Speaking of mothers, yours as well as mine, unfortunately, I lost mine some time back, but when this happened with my little mother, God rest her soul, I couldn't resist talking about it. Mama hadn't been well. My brothers and I tried to do as much for Mom as any one of you nice kids would like to do for yours. But you know, of course, that no matter what you do, it's always in the big boss's hands. Now, I have a particularly wonderful friend, a fellow I went to school with many, many years ago, and he loved my mother almost as much as he does his very own. Incidentally, this guy's loaded, but loaded. No inventory, just money. Kind of a guy who, when he sends roses, doesn't send just a dozen or two, he sends rooms full of roses. And he'd sent my mother a magnum of champagne and a bucket of imported caviar. And I know you folks are aware of the cost of those items. I had to go up to Boston for a couple of days, and when I got back, went up to visit with Mama. And among other things, I said, sweetheart, wasn't that nice of Jack? Did you enjoy them? She says, I tell you the truth. The ginger ale was wonderful. But the huckleberry jam tastes like herring. I want to favor the request of a lovely lady who took the trouble to call me upstairs, and I promised I would do it, and before I forget about it, I want to do the story about a woman who went to a portrait painter, a man of great reputation. She says, I heard you a very fine painter from pictures. I heard you practically the modern Picasso. You know, the painter. I would like you should make me in oil. Oil. O-I-L, oil. She says, don't be with me fancy. If I ain't got dimples, don't put me. I don't want to look younger, I don't want to look older. Just see if you could capture the real me. Oh, he says, that'll be quite simple, of course. Well, she says, it's nice to hear like this. Now, if you happen to have a little paint left over, is it possible you could paint me on both wrists gorgeous diamond bracelets with rubies and diamonds and emeralds? Emeralds. It's not a sickness, it's a gem. You'll make my necklace also with the rubies and the emeralds and the diamonds, and for the hair a terrare. He says, that's possible. He says, of course, there'll be no problem with that. Why would you want that? And she says, well, I'll tell you the truth. My husband is a louse. And when I'll die, I'm sure the next week he's going to get married again. I want his next wife should drop dead looking for the jewelry. Any one of you would be reminded, as I was, of a story, because there is so much gin rummy played on the beach. Here are 4 men playing gin rummy. One loses $800 and drops dead right at the table. So out of respect to the deceased, they finish the game standing up. However, a situation presents itself. Somebody has to tell the wife. Nobody wants to, of course. So they draw lots. One fellow is selected and the other two say, please be careful and break the news. It's a serious, he says, with me you ain't got with anything to worry. I'm a discreet boy. Goes over to the house, knocks on the door, walks in, he says, sweetie, your husband just lost $800 playing Jim Roman. She said he should drop dead. He says, he did. Discretion. Let me tell you about one of the wealthiest men in the nation. Unfortunately a widower, and yet possessed of a beautiful daughter. When his entire life revolved about her likes and dislikes, there was nothing in the world this girl couldn't have. He was taking her to Europe. They were aboard ship. It was the middle of the winter, stormy. While taking a turn about the deck for a breath of fresh air, suddenly the ship lurched and off into the water she went. Well, he simply went out of his mind. Save my lovely daughter, I'll share my fortune with any man brave enough. In your lives, you've never heard such excitement, pandemonium. Bells were clinging. The ship shuddered as a result of the retarding of propellers. Then they went round and round in circles, and suddenly the cry was heard, man overboard. They looked over into the water. He was a little old man in his 80s. Beautiful silver gray beard floating upon the silvery waves, swimming toward the girl despite his many years with the strength of a Samson. He managed to reach her and lift her to the deck covered with blankets. Now the rich man says there is nothing in the world you'll ever want for again as long as you live. I'm going to give you half of my fortune. You'll give $1 million to charity every year. So don't do me no favors. Happens I don't need no money. I got a chain 14 empty stores. Just answer me one question. Who pushed me? I haven't done this in a long time, and I hope I remember it. It's about a couple getting ready to celebrate their 35th wedding anniversary. The husband comes home as husbands will. And he says, sweetheart, for this 35th wedding anniversary, I'm going to show you a time that you never had it. Finest restaurants, best theaters, it's not a question. She says, I'll be very happy to go with you. But on one condition, you got to buy me a low-cut gown of plunging. He says, oh, what? What the hell are you, a chippy? That's Western talk. He says, a special with your equipment yet. She says, I can't help it if I'm a healthy girl. Don't forget we had 6 children, and you was also involved. You with a big mouth. All my girlfriends is wearing plungers. And if you wouldn't buy me, then the hell with it, you could enjoy yourself a union waistery. But he'd always been a liberal husband, as most of you gentlemen are. And gave her the okay to buy it. She came home with a gown, folks, you in your lives have seen plunging necklines. This was already a diving. This was with a puppy exposed. Took her to Danny's Hideaway for dinner. During dinner, she says, Morris, I got a terrible odds bun. Says, you ain't got no odds bun, eat. She says, what are you making me to be crazy? If I say I got odds bun, I got odds bun. Says, you goddamn idiot. You ain't got no odds bun. Your left side is laying in the hot soup.
4 roses minus 1.
There's a friendly tavern in Milwaukee that never, never, never will sell beer. They will give you something slightly stronger when you come in search of cheer. Once upon a time, a local scandal nearly blew the place to bits. For in this friendly tavern in Milwaukee, they found Mr. Blacks with Mr. Schlitz. People dance all over the floor, holding one shot glass or more. Everyone is gay in this place, for no one's blowing foam in anybody's face. They do the friendly shot glass polka, and everyone who's high says hi. They love the friendly beat they're following while swallowing a shot of rye. They do the friendly shot glass polka. It's all good, clean, loud fun. And when they roll up the people, the friendly shot glass polka's done.
And now let's everybody dance for the television camera.
And when they roll up the people, the friendly shot glass polka's done.
Hello, Mr. Batkeeper, or barminder, or something like that. I just dropped in to cool off a bit with a banana split. Oh, you don't have banana splits? Well, do you have strawberry milkshakes? No? Well, what do you have? Ooh, that. Well, if that's all you have, just give me some of that, that over there, in that bottle that's all pinched in. Yeah, that's it. Let's try it and see. Oops, don't spill it. Phew, that's a little warmer than a milkshake, but not bad. Isn't it odd how I happened to drop in here? I got on the wrong bus by mistake, and this is where it let me off. Why was I here last Tuesday? Well, now I gotta tell you that's a funny story. I don't mean ha-ha funny, I just mean funny. Excuse me a second. Say, the man who pinches those bottles must have strong hands. Oh, yes, why was I here last Tuesday? Well, it's this way, Mr. Borrow Lender. Last Tuesday, I wanted to fix something special for my family's dinner. Oh, yes, I have a wonderful husband and 2 fine children, all grown up, too. Yes, Billy and Johnny. Billy's the girl. Oh, she's just adorable. Why was I here Tuesday? Oh, yes. Well, I wanted to fix them grits and gravy, and you just can't get decent gravy in any of the stores in my neighborhood. They don't sell gravy in stores? Well, no wonder I couldn't get it. Anyhow, to get back to Billy, she's the girl. She's so good to me. She has a wonderful job. Works in an apiary, yes, that's where they raise bees. What does she do there? Well, I don't know, but She must have a very important job because I heard her say she's the highest paid bee girl in the place. Oh, my family's so lovely, and I'm always home with them all. What am I doing here at 11 p.m.? Well, they all just happened to be out this evening. Billy, that's the girl, she's working late, and Johnny, that's my son, he called to say he'd be out with the boys. My Johnny, he's a real intelligent boy, very literary. He takes orders for a book publisher, has his office right in the house. You know, he's so busy, he has to have 10 telephones to take all the orders he gets. He sells mostly travel and adventure books. Books like Gallant Man, Knight Rider, Tribal Dance, and Native Dancer. That last one was written by Arcaro, he tells me. You know, he's the country's #1 writer. Sure wish my husband were home more, Johnny Sr. He's a lovely man. A lot like young Johnny. In fact, they used to call young Johnny a chip off the old book. Yes, my husband used to be in the book business too. Not anymore, though. He runs an outfit that designs and tests airplanes. Yes, he's a aeronautical engineer and very dedicated to his profession. Why, he even talks in his sleep about his work. His head's just filled with thoughts about runways and strips and bumps and blackouts and, well, all those technical terms. He's very civic-minded, too. You know how underpaid policemen are? Well, John even employs some of them part-time. Yes, he does. He says he's got 10 cops on his payroll. So, you can see with this charming family of mine why I wouldn't ever want to be away from my home. What's that, Mr. Tarbender? You're closing up. Well, do you have any branches that stay open later? Oh, I see. Well, I guess I'll go on home to my lovely family.
dying for a dry martini. Dying for a dry martini. We're like the dusty plain, dying for a drop of rain, while we're dying for a dry martini. Martini, martini. My horse is parched and dehydrated. He has to be rejuvenated. He says to me, "Oh sport, you and I could use a snort." Yeah, we're dying for a dry martini. Martini, martini. I'm the fastest draw the West ever saw. Every outlaw is feared of this dead eye. I could get a big bounty in yonder county, but I can't stand that Dodge City red-eye, 'cause I'm dying for a dry martini. Dying for a dry martini. The desert sun is mean with no gin in your canteen when you're dying for a dry martini. Dry martini. Dry sagebrush is all that the eye can see, without even the sign of an olive tree. Martini, teeny, martini.
As soon as you're born, they make you feel small. by giving you no time instead of it all, till the pain is so big you feel nothing at all. A working class hero is something to be. A working class hero is something to be. They hurt you at home and they hit you at school. They hate you if you're clever and they despise a fool, till you're so fucking crazy you can't follow their rules. A working class hero is something to be. A working class hero is something to be. When they've tortured and scared you for 20 odd years, then they expect you to pick a career. When you can't really function, you're so full of fear. A working class hero is something to be. A working class hero is something to be. Keep you doped with religion and sex and TV, and you think you're so clever and classless and free, but you're still fucking peasants as far as I can see. A working class hero is something to be. A working class hero is something to be. There's room at the top, they are telling you still, but first you must learn how to smile as you kill. If you want to be like the folks on the hill. A working class hero is something to be. A working class hero is something to be. If you want to be a hero, well, just follow me. If you want to be a hero, well, just follow me.